I have this love and hate relationship with indoor training, indoor cycling, and I'm sure most of you would agree with me. If it's like super wet out because it's raining dogs and cats, or if you are just trying to suffer through dead-ass cold winter in the East Coast, having that option is super nice. And then as I'm suffering through a monotonous indoor session, I just miss the scent of lavender in the air, hanging out with my homies, or dealing with that gnarly 27 mile per hour headwind. While I prefer riding 10 times out of 10 times outdoors, it is nice to have that option to ride indoors, and the market is now full of great products from various companies, despite the fact that Wahoo is almost the de facto standard. So today we will take a look at a challenger. So grab some coffee, sit down, and let's talk about it. Roll the intro. How are you? This is yours truly, Diabetic Cycling, and thank you for spending your time with me today. This episode is sponsored by Cycplus, who continues to support this channel that has provided this indoor trainer for me to share with the audience, you. But it is still brought to you by your engagement. So please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and hit that bell notification so that I can come see you more often with these episodes that are currently in the pipeline. As the transparency is important to me, I want to share with you that only the product was provided. There has been zero exchange of any sort of a payment that went back and forth. I'm not being paid to produce this episode for you, and any thoughts and opinions that I'm about to share with you are all mine, as integrity is important, and I would not jeopardize my integrity with the audience, you that put faith in me. Right up front, there are a lot of things that I happen to like on this trainer. The entire industry is flourishing with companies out of China that are producing variety of different products, and Cycplus is one of those. And in my infancy of this channel, they supported this channel by providing some awesome pump ones, those that you can carry in your jersey pocket or in your saddlebag instead of a tube and CO2 and all that mess. You can watch my review episode right here. Now, outside of that, I was not aware of who Cycplus was, and even today I'm not entirely too familiar with their product lineup. So normally when I review bikes, there's a lot that I could draw from 2 dozen, 3 dozen bikes that I've owned, that I still own, that I ride day in, day out. So there's a lot of experience that I could draw from, which I'm sure is why you would tune into this channel, for me to sort of share with you based on my own personal experience. That said, in terms of indoor smart trainers, my experience is somewhat limited in that I owned a Wahoo Kicker version 1 about 10 years ago, actually. It was the hottest thing at the time. I'll share with you how that came about in some other later episode, because there's something that I need to share with you on that front. And then I also owned a Kicker Core. Is it version 5? It's the one that's like less involved, less complicated. And then I typically nowadays, I ride, and nowadays typically I ride Kicker Bike version 1. So that would be the only experience that I could compare any sort of an indoor smart trainer to. Okay, so T3, the model that I am talking to you about today, is their top dog in their smart trainer lineup. So they have the T3 that currently retails for $10.99, but I do have a $200 off code for you, which I'll link down below. If you happen to like this trainer based on what I'm sharing with you today, then there's the T2, then there's the T1. They're all direct drive smart trainer with a little bit of different feature sets that kind of cater to all different price point. Although about this time when this episode would go out, the whole tariff against imports would be active. So I actually don't know what the price would be like in the end, just as a disclaimer. So looking at their marketing verbiage, the trainer is capable of up to 2,800 watts. Now, I will not be able to test that for you because I can't even hit half of that. In addition, it says it can simulate up to 27% of gradient. So the numbers are a little bit arbitrary if you ask me, but if those numbers are true, then obviously the trainer itself is more than capable for even those that are professional level riders. Now, I will link my unboxing video of the trainer right here. And those of you who may have watched would have noticed, but I really like the fact that the trainer comes with the rubber mat that you put the trainer on top of. I think it's also because they sort of designed the rubber feet of the trainer to interact with that mat so that it provides more stability. So that's also nice. And then the trainer is also out of box compatible with both through axle and quick release, so it doesn't matter which kind of bike you have. Maybe you can dust off one of your old bikes that are rim brake quick release and just mount it on the smart trainer in your shed or garage full time, so you don't have to hassle with your current active bike that you have to put on and take off every time you need to train indoors. Right out of the gate, I really like this large handle right up at the top. Unless you have a permanent setup in your garage or shed for your indoor riding, indoor training, it is inevitable that you need to move this thing around in your house, garage, whatever. And in that time, the large handle comes super handy. I know talking about a handle is not very sexy. However, on my Wow Kicker version 1 and even a Kicker Core that I have, the handle situation or lack thereof is just complete ass. Therefore, the super sturdy, nice, large handle is a godsend. Again, perhaps not the most sexy thing to talk about, but it's super svelte. So unlike the Wahoo kickers that I talk about, this thing has the flywheel that is sitting flush with the chassis, so there's no big flywheel that's sitting outside. That also means the weight of the smart trainer is sort of a neutral and centralized instead of sort of a one side being heavier than the other. Now, I could not find in their documentation what pounds the flywheel is. Nonetheless, it is able to keep the overall profile very slim. And then speaking of the weight, the entire thing weighs 43 pounds. So despite its svelte appearance, this is no joke. It is hefty, and the weight also means it's very sturdy when you are putting out some watts. So the thing that I like most about this trainer, again, it may not be the thing that you might be expecting to hear, but it's actually the size. Because it's inevitable, you need to put this away somewhere if you don't have a permanent setup. And when it's folded, it occupies almost no footprint. So when it's folded, basically it's about 12 inches and 10 inches, about rectangular shape. And whether you need to throw this in the corner of a closet or what have you, it is very easy to do so because of that small footprint. It's very remarkable how they designed the whole fold out legs and fold in legs. And then when the legs are folded out, it creates this quasi X butterfly pattern where the stability is just completely awesome. I don't know whether I should be expecting more stability or if this is just completely out and out better than some of the others in terms of stability, but I find the unit both completely stable when it's folded out and then super easy to hide it somewhere when not in use. Before I go into my diatribe, allow me to kind of go point by point on things that they say on their marketing stuff and what I think about. Advanced cooling system. Something about copper framework, blah, 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 that allows this thing not to overheat and has a super like science-y cooling inside this. I could not tell you. Now, what I don't notice is whether, what I didn't notice is whether the thing is overheating or not. So I guess it's doing its job. Having said that, I don't know if I ever had an overheating problem on other smart trainers, despite my limited experience. Quiet design, elastic foot pads, blah, blah, blah. So like I said earlier, the fold-out legs have this huge chunky feet, rubber that I guess work with the provided mat for more stability. They work really well. I don't know what I'm expecting, but there's no slippage. There is no, the thing's not sliding back and forth. So again, sort of kind of something that I would take for granted, I guess. With that said, like the out of saddle effort, again, nothing I notice in terms of the thing lacking stability or anything, even when I'm out of saddle. So get a passing grade on that. Smooth pedaling sensation. Again, I don't know what I'm expecting or what I should not be expecting, but I didn't notice whether the pedaling motion is better or worse than other smart trainers that I used in the past. So again, gets a passing grade. Bluetooth 5.0 and ANT Plus connectivity. As any modern day smart trainers would, there is absolutely no issue. Setting up the trainer on Rovi and Zwift was a breeze, nothing negative to report here. And speaking of Rovi, they do include, was it a month free subscription or something more? I forget, but they do give you a Rovi subscription out of the box so that you could test and start your indoor cycling journey. I guess this is the main point that I need to share with you about this trainer based on my own experience. So let's say I set up the trainer or the kicker bike in erg mode to put out something consistent over a period of time. So say I arbitrarily, let's just say we do 200 watts. I'm gonna use B-rolls to kind of support what I'm trying to tell you. So when you are doing an exercise, when you're doing your training at 200 watts consistent as so, inevitably, because your output isn't completely consistent at all times, you're gonna see a little bit of plus minus delta variance. So if you set it up on 200, you may clock in a 198, you may clock in 201. So there's gonna be a little bit of peaks and valleys, or at least that's what I noticed when I'm on my other smart trainers. Now with this unit, what I noticed is the plus minus delta is ever so slightly larger than the other smart trainers that I've used in the past. What am I talking about? So again, using that 200 watt as our training baseline, whereas I would have seen something like dropping to 198 on certain pedal stroke on the other smart trainers, I actually saw even all the way down to 191 on this trainer. And then going the other way, I think I saw as high as something like a 207. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. The power output was slightly, it's gonna fluctuate, but the variance level of that fluctuation was slightly larger than some of the other smart trainers that I've used in the past. If you are strict about your power output and or doing structured training, maybe that is a problem for you based on, I mean, I don't remember what they claim as their plus minus percentage on power accuracy, but if you are strict and anal about that being completely 100% accurate, that may impact you. However, if you're just getting a session in when it's raining outside in your basement, I don't know how much that really matters, because even if you drop to 192 versus 200 baseline that's set, it's gonna recover back to 200 probably on your next pedal stroke, so on and so forth. So me personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I am obligated to share with you that that's my observation. The market is thankfully full of options, and us, the consumers, are clear winners. Having another option that's built with such high quality is a welcome addition in the market. The small form factor when it's folded and how stable it is when it is in its training mode with the legs folded out, that's really huge with me on top of everything else. And then I didn't demo the trainer while it's unplugged, but the trainer is capable of working with just your own kinetic energy, basically, without power source. So if you are one of those that race, and you need to take a smart trainer with you to the race site just to warm up, not having that electrical socket is not a problem. Therefore, it's probably a pretty good option. In the end, it is well designed and it is well thought out. The final execution as a product is something that is pleasantly, surprisingly good and impressive. And that leads me to my final thought. This trainer, at the time of recording, sells retail $1,100. I don't know how the tariff is gonna impact the pricing, or if it won't. I just don't know. Now, that is established as its price, and you compare that to Wahoo Kicker, which sells for $999, so $1,000. I believe Kicker Core right now sells for $500. Then there's that other option from Garmin, Tax, Elite. There are other companies out there, even including Zwift. They put out something, is it called the Zwift Hub, Zwift One, or whatever? I'm not familiar with the pricing of those other units, but right now, it's my personal opinion, Wahoo Kicker is probably the de facto standard smart trainer of the industry, and that sells for $1,000. This is $100 extra. Yes, it did come with a mat, which Wahoo doesn't give you when you buy their trainer. But I don't know what the proposition is, because if the pricing is going to be the same against the industry leader, I am looking for perhaps something that's going to set this unit apart from the crowd. And that's because there is already an established, clear leader in the market. So whoever is challenging for that throne must have something unique, something better that's gonna entice you, the public, to opt for this alternate product versus something that is better known. And I don't know if that exists because it's not any worse than the Wahoo Kicker. It's actually a really great unit. I don't know if it's necessarily better. So if the playing field is on par there, maybe something like perhaps the pricing is where they need to appeal. But even then, I don't know if, as a businessman, I don't know if I would advise the company Cycplus to compete on pricing only, just because they're an overseas brand. So I don't know what I would do. Thankfully, I'm not the CEO there, so I don't have to make that decision. But I believe it is a homework that Cycplus needs to do and figure out what their unique competing point is going up against other better known brands like Garmin's and the Wahoos of the world. And that wraps up for this episode. I actually wouldn't mind buying it. I just don't know if I would spend $100 in addition to what Wahoo is charging for their flagship smart trainer product, their Kicker. If you stayed up to this point, you are an excellent human being, because I don't know if I would have been able to do that. So I've been Diabetic Cycling. You've been awesome. Be safe out on the road and keep the rubber side down. Until next time, I'm out. Be good humans.